So the Master Chief Collection is out with Halo Reach, and it is the first time we've seen Halo supported on PC pretty much universally, which I'll talk about a little later what I mean by that, in a long time, like a long time, which to me means that Halo Reach is really one of the most important releases, one of the biggest releases this year. We've had stats now come out that said about 3 million or so people have actually played Halo Reach between PC and Xbox in its first week, and it was one of the top selling games on Steam. When it launched, it jumped immediately to the top of these Steam charts for everyone who just kind of rushed it and started buying it. And it's like that because of what PC gamers for Halo have kind of endured over, over a decade now, waiting for this to actually happen. So in order to really get down to business here, we have to go back quite a while, several console generations. We have to go back to the beginning of the original Xbox, and that, of course, is because the original Halo Combat Evolved, launched back in 2001, but while everyone was playing it on console, there were talks about it also being put on PC. If you remember, Halo originally started out as a Mac game. That's right, for the Macintosh computer back then. But things changed and moved around, and eventually Bungie turned it into an Xbox game alongside Microsoft, and here it comes. It's out with the Xbox and really helped push it, as most of us who got an Xbox back then, we were playing Halo. But it did eventually come to the PC. It took a couple of years, came out in 2003, but they actually gave us quite a bit for having to wait so long, and while I did play it on the Xbox that whole time, I was really excited when it dropped on PC. We even got a demo. I know, it's weird to say that now, but back then, demos were a big deal. A lot of us would, of course, collect magazines that came with a disc inside, and we'd pop it into our Xbox, or what we got, PlayStation Underground, and we would play all these demos. Even the GameCube, like we've looked at recently, had a ton of store-wide demos that were used in stores, but then they also had some that customers would get sometimes just with games as like double packs. I remember Mario Kart did that and it went over pretty well. But Halo Combat Evolved got a demo on the PC, and when I played that, it was awesome. It was amazing to see Halo actually on PC. They gave you a multiplayer demo that allowed you to play in Blood Gulch, and people, I think, played that demo for quite a while. Even after the original release came out, you could still just play that demo and play online in some pretty, they're pretty strict preset rules. Blood Gulch, you had like, I think you could do capture the flag, but I specifically remember just playing on Blood Gulch all the time, constantly in Halo anyway, so that really wasn't that big of a drawback. And then, of course, we had a level to kind of run around in, and just really gave us an idea if our PC could run it. They also had a safe mode you could run that eliminated like all of these graphical settings. It was hilarious. But some of the things they added to the game included different weapons. They had a flamethrower, which was so funny to see Master Chief running around lighting people on fire. You had like a Covenant grenade launcher, I think it was like a fusion cannon, and then you also had things like the Banshee. That was a big deal back then. You could fly around in the Banshee, and that opened up all kinds of stuff, by the way, in Blood Gulch. People were trying to get out of the map that way. They also had a rocket launcher on the back of a Warthog, but the coolest thing was they added a ton of levels. One of my favorite ones was Timberland, which was pretty much just like a forest setup with 2 bases, one on each side, and they also had Death Island, Danger Canyon, Ice Fields, Infinity. There were so many different levels that they had just added specific to the PC version. There was a reason to get it with all these different levels, and it was really, really cool. Couple that with the fact that they had partnered with GameSpy, you remember them? They actually held up the server, so you would go online. Again, a big deal for Halo back then, considering Halo 2 was not out yet. To play online against other people, we had to do some weird tunneling stuff just to get the original Xbox online with the original Halo. No, you're playing on PC, you hit a button, a bunch of rooms populate, and you can jump in and play. It was awesome. Now, it was very primitive at the time. There weren't things like friends list that I could remember, or even voice chat, nothing like that. You would have to type out old school to each other back and forth, but you could find a room that maybe was set up with 0 people, because they did have dedicated servers, and everyone could just jump in and play Halo online. It was a dream back then, because, again, this is before Halo 2, but it was there, and you could do it. and it was amazing. So naturally, Halo 2 gets announced for the Xbox. And because we're all sitting here playing Halo on the PC, we immediately believe that Halo 2 will eventually find its way to PC. We understand that it's not going to happen immediately, right? Because it took a little while for the first Halo. We get that. I think a smaller studio or a smaller group of people actually ported it. But Halo 2 did show up on PC several years later. There was only one problem, and this was really, really frustrating. You needed Windows Vista to play the thing. It was tied to Windows Live, and to a degree it was neat because they did incorporate achievements, which was brand new at the time. The original Xbox didn't do that. But we needed Windows Vista. Who wanted Windows Vista back then? We were all on XP. No one wanted to do Vista, and in order to get around that, there were these unlicensed patches, and people were even attempting to pass around malware and viruses by pretending it was the patch. It was not good. So we did the only thing we could. We went back to the original Halo on PC. Now, I don't want to say everyone did, because there were people who were on Windows Vista, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it at the time, so I just pretty much kept along with the original Halo release, which was unfortunate because around that time, video cards started to advance heavily, and we started to kind of play around with resolutions that were more widescreen oriented and kind of away from what the original Halo was doing. And especially when we started getting up to like 2010, because yeah, we were still playing the original Halo then, it started to get really, really annoying that we were dealing with these 4:3 resolutions with our widescreen monitors, especially since Halo 2 looked so much better than the first Halo, and it even had some extra cool little things they threw in there, like a supported level editor, which was really, really neat. And the original Halo did have that. It was Halo CE. It was like the custom edition. And as long as you had a copy of it, you could do that. But Halo 2's map editor was much, much better, apparently. But still, that whole Vista thing really hurt it. So, of course, we keep going along. And then eventually we find out in April of 2014 that the servers holding up the original Halo were going to be shut down because GameSpy was going away. And I gotta say that for a lot of the people that were still playing, because there were quite a few of us still out there on those servers, kicking around, playing here and there, that hurt. It was not great to hear about that, but what's really cool here is Bungie, this is 2014 by the way, working on a game that was 11 years old, did a patch. Bungie came together with some fans and they put out a patch that allowed the game to bypass the idea of looking for GameSpy servers, which it did. And now I went back on and I checked, and I had over 150 people still playing online and tons of dedicated servers still sitting around for people to jump on and play. So when I saw this, it's no wonder that finally, Halo is back on PC in a way that is actually being focused on. Now, we did have Halo 3 kind of, sort of. It was like Halo Online. It was only in Russia, and eventually they shut it down. And then other people try to do different fan games where they were trying to take that and they were trying to convert it over and make it so that we could play it, but it was never actually supported by Microsoft. In fact, they had to eventually work against it and pull it down. And then, of course, here comes Master Chief Collection, and everyone got excited for it because it was going to put all of the Halos into one program, basically, that would then act as a portal to access all these different Halo games from the past. The only problem was when it launched, it was in such a bad state that it was basically unplayable online. For the most part, the games worked single-player wise and all of that, but a lot of us wanted to play Halo Online, and unfortunately, in the state that it was in, I knew it would be a long time. I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 years now for that to even go beyond the Xbox. At that point, we were just trying to get it working. So finally, at long last, Halo Reach comes out. And it comes out to PC. And the exciting part about all of this, while the game is not perfect, it's not. There are some audio issues. I believe the audio quality is not great. I even experienced some stuttering that I had to play around with some drivers to get and make sure all of that was fine. It also seems to conflict with some Logitech programs and some Razer programs, but the amount of work they put into this is good. Like, it runs really well. I've played around with it on different configurations, different video cards, going all the way down to a GTX 1050, which is a very obtainable card for a lot of people. In fact, if you've bought a laptop with a dedicated GPU from NVIDIA that was on the cheaper side, it's probably that card, and it's still got over 100 frames per second, which means if you lock it at 60 for maybe your 60 hertz display on your laptop, it'll still play great. It's very smooth, has full controller support, and it is an exciting time to be a Halo fan on PC. It's something that people have wanted for so long. I'm glad that they have worked beyond the issues of the Master Chief Collection, and now we are about to head in to the original Halo releasing. We're about to come full circle from 2003 to hopefully not much further down the line. We're going to have the original Halo back on PC, and it is going to feel great. So if you were one of the original Halo people online back in the day in 2003, maybe you were like me and you just got your custom rig, which that was around the time I even built mine. It was, I think, a year before Halo came out. That was actually part of my Christmas present, or different parts to finish up my custom build for the computer. And if you're like me and you had a video card like from NVIDIA, I actually had an NVIDIA FX 5200 with 256 megabytes of video RAM. That's right, megabytes of video RAM. That was a big deal, by the way, because if you had more than 128, you were in business, and it was way more RAM than that card actually needed, trust me. It even had a hard time with Halo in certain levels with particle effects and all that on, but it was still awesome. And if you were like me back then, you probably understand why I believe Halo Reach coming to PC as one of the most important releases of the year. It's not like a big time announcement. It's not even a big time release on the surface, but based on the history of Halo on PC, it is an exciting, exciting time. And I'm looking forward to the original Halo, and especially Halo 3, which is still my favorite Halo overall, to show up on the computers. But let me know what you guys think about all of this down below. I'm very happy that they've made it very accessible by optimizing it heavily, and of course dropping it on Steam and not just keeping it locked to the Windows Store, because that would have really had a callback to one of the most frustrating things ever, which was them locking Halo 2 to Windows Vista. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it, dislike it if not, and I'll see you next time.